Hi friends, welcome back to the Common Sense Grandma. In our first video here, we are going to make an instant pot chicken and wild rice soup. And this is for 2 to 3 people. You know, a lot of times we make food that's for a crowd, which is kind of what I'm used to doing. And I'm still getting the hang of making dinner just for two of us or three of us. And this evening, I think it was going to be for 3 people. So what we're doing here is we're just going to saute our mirepoix of vegetables. And you can see there that they are already cut up. I have onions, celery, and carrots. And what I do is I chop that ahead of time and then I put them in the freezer. And it saves me so much time. I have seen in the store you can buy frozen vegetables already chopped up, or let's say at Trader Joe's, I've seen vegetables there in mirepoix, but it's very expensive. I think most of you have these vegetables in your refrigerator already. But what I like to do is just have them ready to go at my own beck and call when I'm ready, and that way I can throw them in whatever it is I'm cooking. So here I am adding some garlic. Some people call this jarlic, I guess because it's garlic in a jar, which is such a time saver also. And I'm going to season it here with some salt and pepper. And once this cooks down, then we will add in our chicken. And my husband really, really liked this meal. I've made this a few other times, but I couldn't find the recipe. So I was kind of going off the top of my head. And I looked at a few other recipes just to see what folks are using, and it's pretty much the same ingredients that I'm using here. So put in however much of the mirepoix that you would like. I did about a fourth a cup to half a cup each, since it's just a much smaller amount here, and I'm using my smaller instant pot. I'm sorry, I don't know the size of it. I should know that. I think my big one is 6 or 7 quarts. Now in goes our wild rice blend. This is from Munford, and I usually get it either, I get the wild rice blend from Azure Standard, or just the grocery store, they carry it. And then I just added in chicken broth that I had in the freezer, and I measured that out. It's 3 cups, which just was just about the right amount once it was cooked. Now I will say, when I started cooking this, I cooked it for I think 12 minutes, and the wild rice was not done. So I think either next time I will soak the rice or cook it for longer. I should have cooked it for much, much longer. Now here is going in some freeze-dried mushrooms because that's what I happen to have on hand. This is similar to the Panera recipe. I think if you look online, you can find the copycat Panera wild rice soup, and it's really, really good. So I just hope all of you try making this. So here we are. We're going to get this cooking, and then once it finishes, we come right back. Again, though, I did have to cook it for a little bit longer. I think I let it just boil with the lid off on the saute function for about 5 minutes. And it still wasn't quite as cooked as I would like, but that's okay. And so we're just gonna check the seasoning there. I did add some all-purpose seasoning, which is a blend. As you can see there, I've got it boiling some more. And then we're just going to do a little slurry here of cornstarch and water. I did a tablespoon each. I think in the recipe, I'm going to write to do at least 1.5 to 2 tablespoons. It would have come out a little bit thicker. Now after this, I am going to add some cream, and then it, it just makes it creamier. I think cream is really nice. I also added a little bit of cream cheese because that always makes everything better also. So here we're just going to stir in the slurry, let it get thickened, and then add in the cream once we're turning that down. And at the very end, I do add in some spinach, which of course you could add whatever greens you happen to have on hand or leave them out. You know, even with spinach, I buy a big um, container there at the grocery store, the spinach, there I just added in the cream cheese. But with the spinach, I take handfuls of it and I put them in bags in the freezer because then they're ready to go and I don't waste. How many times have you bought a bag of spinach? There's our all purpose seasoning. By the way, if you don't have an all purpose seasoning, just put in some herbs, an Italian blend, or some thyme, some parsley, things like that. I was fighting with the cream cheese a little bit there because I did not have it get more to room temperature. It should have been a little bit better, but that's okay. It all worked out. But as I was saying with the spinach, I keep some in the freezer. That way it doesn't go bad. Here I put in about half a cup of half and half. I think heavy cream, whipping cream would be better, but I don't buy that very often. I just don't use it that often. Half and half I always have in the refrigerator. So that, okay, here we go. Here is the spinach. So there I will add in a few handfuls. So when you do go to cook this, I recommend cooking it on pressure for at least between 15 and 20 minutes if you're using the wild rice blend. Now, if you are using, I've seen there's Uncle Ben's in a box. I've never bought it before, but that would be perfectly acceptable. And I would even throw in the seasoning packet just for flavor. I think that would be very good. And so here I'm going to try it. And I really liked it. I was very happy. The reason I had to do the voiceover was it was the Dodgers um, playing their last game to get into the World Series. And so it was a little bit loud with the TV on. My husband was watching. So I'm very happy with how this turned out. And make sure you add some extra pepper on there. Also, what would be good is some red pepper chili flakes. I think that would be delicious. So please try this. I will also include this on the blog and I will have the recipe written down below. And next will be our next video. Enjoy.
And I thought I would bring you along for a quick sheet pan dinner that we're going to put together here. Tonight there will be 3 of us for dinner, 3 adults. Half the week we have 5 adults, but 2 of those are teenagers, so we'll count them as 3 because they do eat a lot. They're growing. They're 14 and 16. And I tell you, we are so blessed to be able to have the 2 teenagers and our daughter here half the week. Otherwise, she is with her fiance and getting married soon, which we're excited about. But I grew up with 6 kids in the house and my great aunt, so there were 9 of us, and I was the oldest girl. I did a lot of the cooking, actually the majority of the cooking. I made breakfast and lunch for my siblings and before school, and so I'd always been used to cooking for a lot of people. And then we have 4 children. And a lot of times we had between 1 or 3 extra kids living with us due to various reasons. There was many times, years, where we actually had, 6 or 7 kids in the house. And so I was always used to cooking for a lot of people. And it's just been recently where it's just my husband and myself half the week. And so when it is like that, I have to remember I'm cooking for 2. I'm not cooking for a lot of people. It's not something I'm real good at, but I thought that this is something that I should practice and maybe teach it a little bit as I get the hang of cooking for a smaller amount of folks here at home. And I'm sure that there are many of you out there in the same shoes where you're learning to cook for less people. Of course, we don't mind having the leftovers for dinner the next night most of the time, and that makes things so much easier, especially on the weekends. I kind of like to take the weekends off of doing the majority of the cooking, take it easy a little bit. But I thought today, I'll just bring you along here. This is going to be a simple meal. It's a sheet pan dinner. Where'd I go yesterday? I went to a lot of stores yesterday restocking. But I went to Sprouts and Trader Joe's and I had a pickup order at Walmart. And at Sprouts, they had beautiful Delicata squash, which I have right here. And what's so nice about the Delicata, you don't have to peel it. Just cut it in half, scoop out the seeds, and then, sorry, cattle dog outside is barking at cats. And then I have a sweet potato here. 1 large sweet potato and 1 large Delicata squash. And I have chicken here, 3 chicken thighs. These are boneless, skinless. I think if you had bone in, that would probably be better. But that's just what I happen to have in the freezer here in the house, and I didn't feel like going outside to go, you know, get some more. So we're going to jazz this up here a little bit, season it, put it on a sheet pan. This is actually my grandma's pan, very, very old. It's probably older than me. I would say it's probably from the 50s. I don't know. I wonder if I can figure that out sometime. But we're going to put some seasoning here on the sweet potato and the Delicata squash. And I also put in half of an onion because, you know, we just need to have some onion. So what we're going to put here is, I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil, a tablespoon in each, and a tablespoon here. Maybe it's a little extra. That's okay. I don't want it to stick. I did put parchment paper down. And then here in the squash, I wrote everything out here. Half a teaspoon of salt for each. Does that seem like a lot to you? It does to me. I'm not gonna put that much. I'm gonna use a half a teaspoon just between both, not even that. Okay, half a teaspoon. I had written this out. I looked at a lot of other recipes and kind of came up with my own here. This is a 1/4 teaspoon measure of pepper. We're gonna divide that amongst the 2. My husband doesn't like things too spicy or anything, so we're gonna back off on that. I'm going to use thyme. I looked at a lot of recipes. A lot of them actually called for rosemary. I do have a rosemary plant outside, but I didn't think that, I don't know. I like rosemary, the smell. I don't use it in a lot of cooking. So we'll get back to here what we're doing. It says 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, and we're going to divide that. I'm just gonna sprinkle. You know, season with your heart, friends. It's just easier that way. I put thyme. Okay, smoked paprika. Do you guys like smoked paprika? I'm honestly not real crazy about it. But I tell you, all the recipes I looked at called for it. So I'm putting that on the chicken also. And then that's all we need for the vegetables. Now for the chicken here, it calls for a tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Yes, please. I love Dijon. Sorry about the sound. And a tablespoon of honey. You can use also honey or maple syrup, whatever, you know, whatever you like. Let me look here at the recipe real quick. Oh, okay. Juice of, it says half a lemon. My lemon is very small. That goes on the chicken. So I'm going with the whole one. I don't think that that can hurt. And you know what's nice about this recipe here? You can change out whatever you have in your house for the vegetables. Just, you know, go with what you have. Going to get this mixed up a little bit. You know, honestly, normally, the only reason I used a bowl for this, for the squash, is because I'm filming this. If I were to do this myself, you know, if nobody's watching me, I would just mix it up on the sheet pan. I'm gonna add a little bit more oil. I don't feel like that's enough. Actually, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm gonna put it here on the sheet pan. Make sure I get all of the seasoning. Okay. So much easier just to do it this way. I'm having trouble with the camera today. I couldn't seem to get it right. And I've got the lab in here with me. She seems a little nervous. I don't know why. Maybe she's nervous because she's getting fixed tomorrow. Yay. She'll be 2 in January. And it's important that we get her fixed. So, okay. This looks so good. I'm really excited about this. And then here, I don't like touching chicken. Do you guys like touching meat? Growing up, we had like 3,000 chickens. Okay, I am gonna have to do that. I didn't want to, but otherwise it's gonna take too long. And I gathered eggs every day when I got home from school, and my brother, David, he fed the chickens. And I don't know, just, I'm kind of funny about meat. That's why I'm not doing a lot of meat with this. It's just kind of for flavoring maybe, I don't know. Just not real big on meat. I know it's all the rage right now about the protein and all of that, and I'm trying, friends. I'm trying to eat the protein, but we're getting there. Okay, I'm just going to put this on top because that way it can flavor it, and then the rest of what's in here, I'm going to drizzle it. So I set the oven at 425 already, and we're going to bake it, I think 25 or 30 minutes. Well, my hands are dirty. I'll turn over my recipe here. Roast, yeah, 25 to 30 minutes. And then I will check the, internal temperature of the chicken with the thermometer. And then I'll show it to you once it's all cooked. Let me wash my hands, sorry. I wash my hands so many times during the day, even though I'm home. I gotta have my hands clean. I don't ever want to get anybody sick, but here you go. Can you see that? It's beautiful. And then I will chop up some parsley. I washed parsley last night. I like to wash my herbs, have them ready to go. I washed parsley and cilantro last night, so it's all ready to go. So I'm gonna go put this in my oven, and you can maybe hear my oven door is broken. And I have not been able to find the part. Frigidaire says they don't have it. It's a problem. Set the timer. Okay. I set it for 25 minutes, and then I will check it with the thermometer, and then probably let it go a little bit longer because I want to make sure it's good and done. But on the sweet potato, I cut it up in cubes, about 1/2 inch or a little bit more. And on the delicata squash, I cut those in, I cut it in half and cut the ends off, of course, and scooped out the seeds. And I did about 1/2 inch slices there. And I want to show you the butternut squash. Okay, look at these butternut squash. If you guys live by a Sprouts, look at that. I can't wait to make, there's a curried soup that I make. You put apple juice in it, onions, curry powder, the squash. It's so delicious. And then there's these little honey nut squash. These are really good too. It's nice that they're all in season. I wish we had enough room here where we live to grow pumpkins and squash. We just don't. We have we're on a corner, and on this lot there's a big side yard, but I don't want to put anything out there. That would be kind of weird. On the other side of the fence, the backyard is mostly cement with the pool, and so when I do grow vegetables, I use grow bags and green stalks, which I still have tomatoes coming and some greens. But anyway, when the food is finished, I will bring you back and I'll show it to you. See you soon. I checked the chicken at 25 minutes and it was at 154, and it needs to be at 165. So we're actually going to check it again. I put it back in for 7 minutes. So let's see. Honestly, I have a tendency to overcook. Oh, it's at 163. Oh, 171, just kidding. Okay, that was probably the thicker piece. Yeah. Let's try one more. Let's see. Okay, 174. I overcooked, but that's okay. It looks very moist and juicy. I think since it's chicken thighs, it doesn't dry out like chicken breast. But we'll give it a taste test and check it out. So, I wanted to show you something cute. Do any of you have a cup like this? It says, shh, there's wine in here, but there's not. I have tea. Belongs to one of my girls. I thought it was so cute. I'm going to take the smaller, I'm just going to take a small piece. My husband will eat his with rice. I have rice in the rice cooker. I just need to turn it on. And let me get some of the vegetables. Oh, this looks so, so good. Isn't that beautiful? So here it is. Ooh, not real cooked. Oh, it's fine. Mmm. Delicious. That's a sweet potato. Chicken. It is perfect. I'm glad I put the whole onion. It is so good. Wasn't sure. I've done sheet pan dinners before, and I cheat. This is a house vinaigrette from Aldi. The ingredients aren't too terrible. Yes, we should make our own dressing, but you know, sometimes we need a shortcut. And I've put chicken in a bowl or a bag, pour the dressing in, let it sit there for 5 or 10 minutes, and then put it in the air fryer. I've done that with chicken thighs. And I go about 12 minutes on each side, and they come out perfect every time. Or you can just put them in the cast iron. That works also. Checking the Delicata. It's delicate. It is so good. Mmm, really, really good. I hope all of you are having a great week. I'm going to continue a series, I think, of cooking smaller meals. I've been doing a lot of soups, and I know my husband's probably a little bit tired of having so many soups. And so I'll be doing a little bit more heartier. Our weather, it got cool and then it warmed up again. I'm in shorts. We're going to be at 85 again for a few days, I think next week. And so I can't keep making soup. I need to make, he calls it real food. In the Philippines, soup is an appetizer, as a sandwich is an appetizer. Did you know that? He wants rice with real food. So here we go. We'll do that. And I think also I'll probably make some Filipino food for you, for our Filipino friends. I know that now that there's so many Filipinos that live here in the States, we call it the mainland. I've lived on Guam with him before, so we're in the mainland. That I think a lot of you are used to having maybe adobo. And I'm actually going to insert a photo of adobo that I made last Sunday. My husband's family on his mom's side, we all got together. We get together about every 3 or 4 months. And I brought the adobo this time and they loved it. And instead of using white vinegar, I used rice wine vinegar. That was kind of a secret. But I hope all of you are having a great week, and we will come together again soon. Do make this. I will list below the recipe, and I will also include a link for actually both recipes. The video before this one is a wild rice chicken soup. It's delicious. It was so good. And again, it's for a smaller amount, you know, probably half of what I normally would make. And I will list that recipe below. Also, I will have both recipes on the blog, commonsensegramma.com. And if so, would you please like and subscribe? I would really appreciate this. I'm still a newbie at this, but I am having fun. And it's, you know what's funny about YouTube? I tell my husband about some people that I watch, and I'll say, oh, they're, you know, that's my friend, she's so-and-so. Or my friend so-and-so made this and I want to try it. And it's like we become friends. And I know eventually we will become actual friends. We will get together and visit. I'm looking forward to that someday. But for right now, I'm just going to put myself out there, put out some recipes. And I do want to have a talk one of these days. You know, I can talk. Look, I was supposed to stop minutes ago. But there's a lot of talks I would like to do. One is what it's like to handle when you have a child move home with kids.